What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And there might be ham inside my hamstrings. Woo! We're here with episode 143. We're going to be talking about, hey, are we getting too much Life is Strange with our special guest, Adnan Riaz? But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do. What'd you think?
What do I think of what?
The ham theory. I think there might be ham inside the hamstrings.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
It's not how it works.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Liz, how you doing?
Oof.
Oof?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just sitting in traffic, weren't you?
I was working, and then I ran to go pick up our car, and then I drove home and sat in traffic most of the time, and I ran in, did my makeup, and now I'm here. So I'm a little oof.
Yeah, the tables have turned this time. But yeah, so we're here. We're doing the show. We've got Adnan on the show, who is the host. I am the co-host of the new Strange Cast. So we're going to be talking about Life is Strange and True Colors and Is It Too Much? But, let's just get the show started. Why don't we?
Okay.
Cool. So we're going to get started. But before we get started, we just want to remind everybody that we're on the social media pages. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you can see some behind-the-scenes photos sometimes, and some memes here and there sometimes, and some questions I'll ask you about the particular show that we're doing right now. Wow. I will ask you a question on Twitter, Instagram, and even Facebook, and you can get in on a discussion by saying what your thoughts are on the discussion point. You can also find us on Discord. Join our Discord. Hooray! It's a fun time. It's got some great people on it, like me and Liz, but also Andrew Orsi. You got Twofer. You got Volt Supreme. You got Nikki. It's a blast. You got Mike Fury. It's a good time. You got there's a lot of people in there. Come join us. It's a good time. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for joining us. Thanks for choosing us. Why don't you? You want to know when all these podcasts come out? That's great. That's super of you. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when all these episodes come out. And if you're so inclined to, give us a review on your favorite podcast choice. Cool. So let's just go into it. Let's just go into it with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, or even HBO Max. And we like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation. This week's movie can be found. It's a Hulu original. Oh wow! It's a little bit about video games. Sure, why not? Not really. But yeah, you can find it on Hulu. It stars Frank Grillo as well as Mel Gibson, as well as surprisingly a good amount of star casting.
Yeah. The recognizable faces. They're not like huge names, but they're recognizable.
It's just like, oh wow, they made it in this film.
Yeah.
This film, of course, we're talking about is called Boss Level. Hooray! Boss Level is a Hulu original. Let's just go into it with what we thought of it. We got a 5-point scale here on Games and Groceries of how to rate movies. We started avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So why don't we go ahead, talk about our ratings for it, and talk about why we gave it that. Liz, why don't you start?
So I give it an enjoyable.
Okay.
Because I actually liked it more than I thought I would. I had given Adam a couple options of what to watch, and he chose this, and I was like, I wasn't sure. Like, it wasn't the one I wanted him to pick.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It definitely, to me, had like Deadpool vibes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it did have that. The reason I gave it an enjoyable instead of like a solid or a perfect is because it is kind of cheap. Like, it looks like they spent all of their money on their cast and didn't leave much room in the budget for their special effects.
I agree.
So their special effects are pretty bad. They're just on the edge of bad. But yeah, but I really enjoyed the story. I liked it. I didn't like that we got closure at the ending, but then we also didn't. I was like,
yeah,
could we have just ended it? Like, I don't know. It bothered me a little bit. But yeah, so overall, I enjoyed it. I liked it more than I thought I would, but It just wasn't amazing.
Yeah, I gave it pass.
Yeah.
If you do watch it, it's enjoyable. If you do decide to put this on, it's fun time.
Yeah.
But in the long run, if you're browsing through Hulu and you see this movie, like, should I watch this? Pass. And I'm gonna go right into it right now with my notes here. The reason why I'm giving it a pass is because, one, the setup for it doesn't really give you much motivation to really care about the protagonist. It just kind of starts, and Frank Grillo is
You're
just
like, wait, why is all this happening?
why is this all this happening? Who are you? Why should I care?
Yeah,
There's not much. There's not much setup about the actual character until like the movie, going into the second act. Then we start to really understand, like, oh, this is why I should care. But really, a good introduction to the film should make me attached to the main character. Like, I'm rooting for this person. Maybe I'm not rooting for this person. But the first act is just kind of okay.
They chose a different thing to catch your attention into the movie, and for us it didn't work.
Yeah, and we're within the first act. I just felt like I'm just here along for the ride. Not really sure why I should care about these characters, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now this is kind of a subpar action flick that has it tries a little bit too hard to be hardcore, if that makes sense.
A little.
It's just like bad boy with older bad boy. A bad dude. Bad guy. Well, he's not really a bad guy. He's just a bad dude. With muscles and pecs.
I gotcha.
And he's rough and tough, and he drinks 2 bottles of whiskey at once, and he's a hitman. So it tries a little bit too hard to be that. It does crack a few jokes at middle-aged gamers in the middle act.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I don't know, how old are you? But then, I'm going to get into my final note, but, it tries a little too hard to be an action movie.
Yeah, I can see where you got that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It like within the first act, it's like, oh, we're an action film. Why should I care? Oh, because we're action.
It's
Okay.
like immediate action. You're like, okay, but why?
Well, why? And I would say my final note for that is that this is an action film. Now, in the end, right, in the final act, it's an action film that also tries to end with a moral compass lesson about valuing your time and valuing family and all that. It gets really soft in the end, and it just really comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was abrupt, and at the same time, I still struggled to figure out what exactly they were trying to say.
I knew what they were trying to say. I don't want to say because spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just tries to end itself with like, we're the moral compass here. Here's what we're trying to say to you. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from. But why? Why do I care?
To me, it kind of felt like they had done like all this action, and then they forgot that they needed a reason for all this. And they're like, oh, because this guy's doing this for this reason, that's why.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say anything really annoyed me about this film.
Yeah.
Nothing really annoyed me.
No.
Nothing really bothered me. It was just kind of, why am I watching this?
Yeah. It did have some good funny moments though.
Oh yeah, it definitely had this, which is why I say, like, if you do put on this movie, you'll probably end up having a good time. It's not a complete waste of time. It's only an hour and a half. And it's got some good action scenes, good funny moments. But in the end, really, you don't really need to go out and see this. It's kind of just, or put on Hulu and see it.
Yeah. You don't need to go out of your way to get Hulu just to watch this.
Yeah. So my view of it, pass.
Yeah.
But you gave it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
You had a good time. So, but those are our brief thoughts. You can go for it. You can watch for yourself. Maybe you put your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you see Boss Level? It's a Hulu not just exclusive, but a Hulu original. What did you think about the movie? Do you think it was well put? Do you think the ending was not abrupt, I guess you can say? But write all your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, it's Boss Level. It's a Hulu original. Check it out for yourself if you want to. And I gave it pass, so do with it as you will. But it's time to go on to another piece of segments.
Really?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Okay.
Yeah, let's just go into it with our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of, hey, what's happening in the gaming industry? Oh boy!
Oh boy.
Oh boy, there's something happening.
What's happening?
I don't think I told you about the first piece of gaming news that I have.
I don't even.
Yeah.
I might know one of them. I don't think I know.
Yeah, you know 2 of them, but I purposefully did not tell you about this because I'm very excited for it. I'm so excited for it, and I'm going to tell you about it.
I love how you're covering your notes like I can read your handwriting
don't
from the side.
Yeah, don't do that. So this first piece of gaming news, it's number 3. So let's go into it with the number 3 gaming news, and it's about Ghost of Tsushima. It's about Ghost of Tsushima. Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
According to Deadline, PlayStation film the PlayStation, it's becoming a movie. It's becoming a movie. PlayStation Productions is making Ghost of Tsushima into a movie. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, well, video game movies. You might be throwing up in your mouth as we speak. But
Give it a chance.
here's why you should give it a chance. So let me pull up this quote real quick. No. Before I read this quote. So here's the exciting news. So yeah, I know video game movies can be a little bit dense. I get it. But guess what? Guess who's directing it?
Who?
Okay, let me figure out how to say his name right. Chad Stahelski. You know who he is?
No.
The John Wick director.
Oh, okay.
John Wick director is coming on for Ghost of Tsushima movie, and the people who made the game Sucker Punch are going to be executive producers.
Okay.
And PlayStation Productions is also going to be, part of the production. And Sony is murdering it with the movie scene.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, you might be thinking to yourself also, well, the Uncharted movie doesn't sound that great. Oh, but Tom Holland isn't too confident with his role. By the way, Tom Holland came out and said I wasn't sure how to play Nathan Drake, so I kind of regret that.
Yeah, but he's still a pretty good actor.
But here's also the thing. The Uncharted film has been in kind of development hell, if you will, so
yeah, true.
Give that a chance. But, that's the thing, is that they've been killing it. Spider-Verse, I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, I want to read this quote right here from the article that's linked down below. It's from Deadline. And this is a quote, right, from Assad. I'm not going to say that last name because I'm not even going to try. Head of PlayStation Productions, who says, "We're excited to be partnering with Chad and 8711 Entertainment to bring their vision of Jin's story to the big screen. We love working with creative partners like Chad who have a passion for our games, ensuring that we can create rich adaptations that will excite our fans and new audiences."
Woohoo.
And I like that one quote right there that's saying that Chad is a huge fan of their games.
Yeah.
Chad is a huge fan of Ghost of Tsushima.
That's great.
Sucker Punch is, being executive producers of this. And Ghost of Tsushima is the fastest selling PS4 IP of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
So it's widely successful. A lot of players have already beaten it if they have played it.
Mm-hmm.
So they already are invested into it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hyped. I don't care if I'm too hyped. I don't care. I really don't care. Really don't.
Maybe it'll be the first movie we see in theaters.
It's going to be a far way away. It's going to be 3 years away.
It still could be.
But yeah, so I'm excited for this. Are you excited for it? Write your thoughts in the comments down below. But I thought we'd start off with that one because it's not really video game news. It's more movie news. But
is that the one you were hiding from me?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
I thought it was something that was exciting for me.
I'm so excited. Ghost of Tsushima movie. Very, very excited. But let's move on to other pieces of news. Okay.
Ugh,
Pikmin.
gross.
Pikmin. Do you know what Pikmin is, babe?
I know the word.
Look behind you. It's Pikmin. He's a little Pikmin.
Weird.
You never played Pikmin, have you?
No.
Pikmin was originally on the GameCube. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've been waiting for Pikmin 4 for I don't know how many years, right? And we finally got a new Pikmin game. Hooray!
Cool.
It's mobile.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what everybody said. But here's some exciting news, though, is that Niantic, who actually made Pokemon Go, is now partners with Nintendo. They're now partnering with Nintendo, and they're actually making a Pikmin mobile game. So kind of in the same light as Pokemon Go, but with Pikmin. And if you don't know what Pikmin is, Pikmin was a again, first on the GameCube, and you're Captain Olimar, and you're going into this weird planet. You get these little Pikmin creatures, and they follow you along, and you have to kind of power your ship with different items, like a life-size battery, and you have to fight off creatures in it. It's kind of like a miniature little bit of a world, and it's got these little Pikmin in it. Some of them are more resistant to fire. Some of them can breathe underwater. You know, they got little bit of doodads. But yeah, so Niantic is making this, and I want to read this quote from the article that's linked down below. Niantic's AR technology, this is from Shigeru Miyamoto, by the way, who is, creator of, little games like Mario. But Niantic's AR technology has made it possible for us to experience the world as if Pikmin are secretly living all around us. Ooh. Based on the theme of making walking fun, our mission is to provide people with new experiences that's different from traditional games. We hope that the Pikmin in this app will become a partner in your life. So it sounds like here that Niantic is now an official long-term partner of Nintendo, which is great. That means more Nintendo IPs will be coming to your phone.
That'd be cool.
Like an AR kind of game. So a lot like Pokemon Go, which was wildly successful. I don't think that Pikmin Go will be as widely successful.
No, because it's not as popular a brand as Pokemon.
Exactly. When you heard Pokemon Go, you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah.
You're getting into Pokemon.
Exactly.
Everybody kind of knows what it is. But you have never played Pikmin. You're not really sure what it is.
Yeah.
So it sounds like something you would be too interested in.
It's not something that I would be like, oh my gosh, I want to check this out.
Yeah.
Not that I was like that with Pokemon Go either, but
yeah.
I at least knew what it was.
Yeah, exactly. You're just familiar with the idea, but not a lot of people are familiar with Pikmin.
No.
I hope this gets people more involved. And Arlo made a video, and he made a really good point that he hopes that this brings up to Nintendo that people are interested in Pikmin, and that Pikmin 1 and 2 can be ported over into Switch.
Yeah.
Because he made a good point saying that, like, oh, what if people like Pikmin now? Like, oh, I really want to get into it. How can I play the first game? Get a GameCube?
Yeah.
So there's no backwards compatibility. You can't play Pikmin.
Yeah.
You can play Pikmin 3. That's it.
Yeah.
But you can't play any of the other Pikmin games.
Yeah.
Just Pikmin 3 on the Switch.
That's weird.
It is weird. So hopefully the success of this brings over Pikmin 1 and 2 at least. And we can play Pikmin 1 on the Switch.
Yeah.
That'll be freaking fantastic. So let's just move on to our number one gaming news. And it's another industry veteran making their own studio. You know who that person is?
Ooh.
It's Ikumi Nakamura.
Woo-hoo.
Yay! If you don't remember her in her E3 performance, she was remember her?
Yeah.
Yes,
I remember.
Yeah, Ikumi Nakamura. She was an ex-Tango Gameworks employee, formerly working as the director behind Ghostwire Tokyo. Recently, I mean we were still living in Long Island. Like this was. Yeah, this was maybe October, September of 2019. So, a year plus away. She left Tango Gameworks, and we were all speculating of what happened. Why did she leave? Probably because of creative differences and all that. From a cutscenes documentary, a 17-minute video, Ikumi Nakamura actually revealed that she left Tango Gameworks because of health reasons. She was kind of talking about how the industry kind of broke her, how she saw people who are sleeping under their desks just to make games, how she couldn't find balance with work and life, and she was overstepping her bounds as a director, kind of stepping on people because of this. And I want to read this quote right here from the article that's linked down below. And this is a quote from Ikumi. My goodness. Ikumi. Yeah, I said it right. Ikumi, who has this to say. I started wondering whether there was I started wondering whether there wasn't a way for me to make games while feeling better. I took the decision to quit before it was too late. I was running away in a way. However, I believe that running away can be very positive. Rather than stacking things upon oneself, I think that running away for something better is the healthier choice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she took the decision and she just ran.
Yeah.
That's it. And I can't blame her for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, you just have to just pick up everything and get out there.
Yeah.
Like she said, before it is all too late.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
No, I think that's great. I mean, we're always promoting, mental health and good health on our show. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what she did. And I think that's awesome.
And the best part about this is that she also revealed that she's starting her own studio.
Woohoo!
She's starting her own studio. And she, in the documentary, she actually compared herself to Deadpool.
Yeah.
And she wants to use that kind of humor to bring into her own games.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to make games that are filled with dark humor, she said.
Yeah.
And she wants to bring in people of different cultures and countries, no matter the language barrier, just to bring in perspectives and understand the whole world here. She wants to do things differently than when she was doing things, or it's doing things in, the AAA studios.
Yeah.
So, or even the AA studios. And the only thing I have to say about this is probably the fifth piece of gaming news that someone started their own studio.
Yeah.
We got Jade Raymond. We've got the voice actor behind Bayek. We've got Yellow Card Games, or Yellow Brick Games. Yellow Brick Games is now doing its own thing. We got Ikumi. And what I'm trying to say is that, with all of these studios happening, with all these indie studios, it just seems as if we're going to get this change in the gaming industry. It seems like we're going to get a complete reset, that all these people are leaving their respective AAA studios, starting their own thing because they want to do things the right way, the passionate way. And that's going to translate into how games are made. Take a look at Kojima Productions and how Death Stranding was received.
Yeah.
That was a veteran that created his own studio and made something like Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I think this is nothing but positive. I'm so happy for Ikumi. But anything else for you?
No.
Yeah.
I feel you.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's still March. It's still Women's History Month. Yay!
Yay!
Ikumi! Yay!
Yay!
She's part of it. Anyways,
Yeah.
just wanted to point that out. It's still March.
Yep.
Yeah. Why don't we get into with our final segment? What do you think?
I agree.
Cool. Let's just do it. So we want to bring on our special guest, Adnan Riaz, who has come onto the show before. He started his own show called Life After Strange, where he interviews different directors, voice actors, mocap artists behind the Life is Strange series, and just to get their perspectives into it. And he started a new show. It's a little show, a little tiny show with your boy called Strange Cast. We just put out our pilot episode last Monday. So, check last Tuesday. So check that out if you haven't. But, let's just bring them on. Let's talk a little bit more about Strange Cast. Why don't we just do that with our final segment?
Coffee time.
All right, everybody, we are back with our very special guest, the special host of Strange Cast and everything that's Life is Strange, is Adnan Riaz. He's here. What's up, man?
Thank you for having me back on. Really excited to be here.
For sure, man. I definitely want to
You
have
guys?
you. Oh, we're tired all the time. It's like nothing but tired. But yeah, man, I definitely want to have you on for this particular subject because, of course, Life is Strange True Colors was just put out, and this is probably this is technically the fifth game if you count Captain Spirit.
Yeah.
If you count it, sort of. It's the fourth and a half game, So, we're getting a lot of Life is Strange. We've got the comics. So I definitely wanted to get Adnan in on the conversation. But again, I said it here on the show. Me and Adnan are doing a show called Strange Cast. If you haven't seen the first episode, I'm going to link it right up here in this corner up there. Go ahead and click it. Watch the whole episode. It's fantastic. But we're here to talk about more Life is Strange. So before we get into it, let's just define the conversation. We're talking about series fatigue here. We're talking about being too sleepy to play any more games here. So let's ask everybody here on the table, starting with Adnan here. What is actually series fatigue? What's series overload? How does it actually happen? So, Adnan, I would love to get your take on it. What do you think?
Talking about series fatigue, we can just go to FIFA, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
Those are the games like examples of series fatigue and kind of like just repetitive. It's like sometimes yearly installments, but like will kind of like change the established formula, nothing that kind of like separates it. That's what happened with Assassin's Creed. You saw that period where they took a break out with Unity and then kind of came back with a bit more of a lick of paint because that was a god-awful game, Unity, especially in the pre-bug era. But then obviously like FIFA, every single year, the exact same game. I've said this a million times to people. It's the exact same game skinned over.
Yep.
Call of Duty is a bit different now with the Warzone mode, but still like Call of Duty. So like series fatigue is essentially playing the same installment repeatedly without very little being changed, and most of the times you can see that with those games as well. So like that's my take on it.
I agree. Liz, what are you thinking?
No, I definitely agree. I think series fatigue is just like when you're just like, all right, you play because you're a fan, but at the same time you're like, I have to play. Like when you start thinking, I have to play this in a negative tone instead of like, oh, I have to play this, but like, oh yeah, I have to play that.
Yeah.
I think that's when it starts showing. So that's kind of like what I think it is.
Yeah, it's not even like I've had enough or it's the same kind of game. It's just I think it is more for me personally. I don't think it's objective. I think what Adnan is saying is the objective answer where it's just the same thing over and over again. But for me it's just I've had enough, for me, like right now, me and you are going through the Marvel, the MCU movies, right? And I stopped liking the MCU movies around Age of Ultron. We just passed Age of Ultron. We just watched it, and I'm having the same feeling again. It's just like it's a different characters,
Yeah.
But it's at Age of Ultron where I'm just like, I've had enough. That was enough for me. So it can feel kind of samey, copy and paste, but it's also there's just enough content where you're just like, I'm full, I've had enough.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about the Assassin's Creed franchise. I've loved Assassin's Creed since 2007. I would consider myself an ultra fan, but it was around Unity, like you said, around Unity where I was just like, I've had enough. I'm good. I'm set. And they're still making games. Didn't like Valhalla, but that's just me. But yeah, any other thoughts about that from either of you?
I think so. Like because you pulled it apart, I think like my analysis was a bit simplistic in terms of that's like very specific to series and things. But if we're going to take what you've just said, we can go into genre fatigue, and that kind of affects series fatigue. It's like with superhero films. I'm so like with Hollywood, I'm like, it's a saturation MCU, and you get the same films every single time. It might be a comic book movie, but you've seen it before. It's happened a million times. Same when you watch Spider-Man films, like the Amazing Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire in it. It's like, what's really the difference of it?
Right.
So that's part of it, and I think in itself as well, genre fatigue goes into it because like now you have an oversaturation of battle royale games on the market. So that's kind of like if you don't play Warzone, you can go and play Fortnite, and then you kind of play this game and that game and PUBG, and that's where you get a bit more of a fatigue in that. And then down to that as well, even in gameplay as well, you can even go, if we're going to take Assassin's Creed for example, the Ubisoft formula where they did it in Watchtowers, in Far Cry, in Assassin's Creed, in like some kind of like checkpoint thing in Watch Dogs, it's very similar. So you see kind of like just a reskin like world that you've already experienced, and no disrespect like developers or anything, it's just kind of saying like as a reskin of like a game and a series, and it kind of like it has one successful formula, so we'll just repeat it until the point where we're like, oh okay, we've really kind of reacted wrong with the fans, and it's like we're gonna have to change this up a little bit. That's kind of to bounce off what your point was.
Yeah, it's funny. We actually reported on that news piece that it was actually revealed. This is a while ago, but it was revealed that there was pretty much, simply put, that there was one creative director behind every single Ubisoft game, every single like Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. it was led by one person, one creative director, and that's why it felt so samey.
Yeah.
And Yves Gamola was like, you know what? I don't think that's the right way to make games. Maybe we should have a different creative director in each different studio.
Wow.
And we just went like, that was what was happening. That makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
Like, it's so samey.
Yeah.
Since doing that, it still feels samey, but you know, good for them that they moved on from that. But yeah, no, serious fatigue, genre fatigue, it all just comes from oversaturation, or I'm just kind of done with it, or copy and paste. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about, are we getting too much Life is Strange? And that's what I want to bring it back to when we're going into this next question here. Now, Life is Strange, as we all know, was supposed to be just a one-off game.
Yeah.
You know, Don't Nod was just going to make Life is Strange, great game. I'm replaying the first one right now, and I'm starting to feel that vibe too. Not that it was a bad game, but I definitely feel like it was supposed to be that one-off. My question here is that why do we have multiple games of this? Why was this one-off game made into a franchise and has a fan base to it? What made Life is Strange different that it needed a franchise, a series? Adnan, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is like a strange one, no pun intended. But like, obviously, I don't know off the top of my head if, like, you know, Michelle or Raul or any of the kind of creative team on Don't Nod have actually spoken about this in terms of like where the series, whether it was meant to be more than one game, whether it wasn't, and the kind of their direction that they went with Life is Strange 2 as an example of like, I don't think they had anything planned for Max and Chloe beyond this game. Like, it was almost like the ending is so, you know, set in stone. They kind of like was like, right, let's move on from this. But I think with like, as we've spoken about before, Adam, on Strangecast, and like we've spoken when I came on for Life After Strange, I think like with Life is Strange, they didn't expect it to be success. And when you get a sleeper hit success like this, and it's the same vein as The Last of Us as well, you kind of like, right, we need to kind of make a sequel. Or there's kind of like, there's a way the ending is kind of like set up where it's like, oh, we've established a universe, we've got something going here. And rather than making an entirely new IP and making True Colors a new IP, a new kind of like selling point, rather we can just be, here's a Life is Strange game with the IP, with the brand, you kind of get associated with it. And I think that's the kind of like selling point that they do with this stuff. But yeah, I kind of forgot the question as well. My trail of thought just completely gone.
Basically, like, what made this different that it became a franchise? Like, what made this, like, as you said, it was a sleeper hit.
Yeah.
What made it a hit? And if we're talking about marketing campaigns, you know?
I think it has to be Max and Chloe. It was that little town that you built. They drew on so many different influences. Don't Nod. You had Max and Chloe. You had loads of other characters. People connected with them, and then that's where you can see where the community is so divided. It's like, I want another Max and Chloe game, but then it's like, Anna, you're not getting that at all. And I kind of want to talk about, because, you know, with Final Fantasies, I don't know if you're a fan of them or not. Like, they anthologies in terms of very similar to Life is Strange, where it's like, you know, separate entries in an established universe, and then in theirs they had the Lightning trilogy, which is kind of like, people didn't really like Final Fantasy 13. I liked it. I didn't think it was the worst thing that people made it out to be, but I felt like that Max and Chloe needed that story where it was free games, and then you could kind of move out and move into a different kind of series kind of thing. So I think that's probably the better way of doing it. But I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, you're good, man. No, that kind of reminds me of how a lot of people in the Assassin's Creed community just are emphatic with Ezio, right? Including myself. Ezio was the best character to ever come out of the Assassin's Creed series. But Ezio had a trilogy. You know, it was Assassin's Creed 1, and then Assassin's Creed 2 was Ezio. Then you had Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and then Revelations. This was all Ezio. And then we moved on to different characters from there. But that's why we love Ezio, because we had that time with him. But like you said, I think it was Max and Chloe. But Liz, what are your thoughts? What made this a hit? What do you think made it, you know, this franchise a thing and grow a fan base? What do you think about Life is Strange?
I think what made it a hit, I definitely have to agree. I think it was Max and Chloe. It's the dynamic they have in the small town and all the other side characters too, because I personally had never seen a game with a real storyline, like something that touched on like real emotions and real life problems. like I said, like when I was playing or when I was watching it be played for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is me and my best friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like I can see myself in the characters and just the level of emotion. Like that's like the biggest running joke with Life is Strange is just the level of emotion that this game brings out of you. It's like, oh, what are you doing to me?
Choco choco, here comes the feels train.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think that is like the biggest thing is like people are playing this video game and like, oh, this has like real emotions in it and it's dealing with very real things. And it's just different. Like I said, I had never seen a game like this. Now I wasn't very well versed in video games, but it was just it was a new concept. And I think that's what really sold it was that it was just dealing with such real stuff while still having that sci-fi element.
Yeah. And I like what you pointed out there. It was almost like a sci-fi game with feels and relatability.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made it, that big. In my personal opinion, I think it's because it touched on so many different life paths, right? You could connect with literally everybody.
Yeah.
And I said this before on the podcast where I am a white cis male who is a Christian, right? And I still related to the characters that were in this. I related to the females. I related a lot to the POCs. I related a lot to Kate's story. And for me to do that, I think spoke well to the writing, and I think spoke well to like that anybody can relate to this game, right? Now we talked about, the business marketing side. We were talking about the very first Life is Strange and how that stemmed from it.
Yeah.
Before I get into social media answers, I want to get into, fun, fun stuff.
There's something fun about Life is Strange. It's not all sad emotions.
I know. I don't want to talk for this next question.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about the marketing or the objectiveness. Us three, personally, in our little tiny hearts that's inside of our chest area.
I wouldn't call hearts tiny.
Oh, mine is. But I want to talk about why we personally are not tired of Life is Strange. Because, okay, so let's set this record straight. Are any of us tired of Life is Strange yet?
No.
Adnan, are you tired of it?
I wasn't tired. I was kind of was in a very strange place with it. No pun intended. I was kind of like it was because of how polarizing 1 and 2 were and with Before the Storm. I was kind of like in a place where, because of how long it's been since we got 2, I was kind of sitting here thinking, where does the series go from here?
Yeah.
Obviously, with the news that we don't know had opened Montreal up, I was like, is there a future for this series? Like, they were having a comic book series going on. So I was kind of like, I wasn't fatigued. I wasn't bored. I was kind of just like waiting for the moment that really reignited my interest in it.
Yeah.
To see like what happens, like where are they gonna go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we all relate to this place too. Is that Life is Strange 2, like you said, was just so polarizing that we couldn't really tell. But now our hearts are reignited for True Colors. I think we're all equally hyped for True Colors. So now I want to get into us personally, not business. No. Why are we not tired of this series just yet after seeing True Colors? And Adnan, again, I want to start with you. Why aren't you tired yet of the Life is Strange series? Like you personally, not business side.
I think because, like, for me, obviously I have this strong connection with this game since 2015 when it started coming out. And because I think it's still a young franchise in terms of, even 6 years still feels quite young, because there's only been 3 entries plus, Captain Spirit, and even Before Storm was 3 episodes, so it wasn't a fully fledged like 5 episodes like the other games were. I think like I'm not bored of it yet because I want that anthology kind of being set up where it's like you can have more than one developer working on it. You can have vision put into it. Like, this is where, like, with True Colors, when you watch it, it feels like Deck Nine's game now. It doesn't feel like they're taking Don't Nod characters, universe, trying to tell a story in between it, then finding like, the crossing paths in like really weird places with fans. It's like now we kind of like go from here to here, and you had a little bit of Don't Nod. They Don't Nod had that privilege of like having Life is Strange 1, Life is Strange 2, 2 different sets of characters, universe, kind of like, shared universe, different characters, different story, different kind of like direction going with it. Now, like, I kind of feel like with Deck 9, it's like that full kind of experience where it's like, oh yeah, you can go in your own direction now. Here's freedom. You kind of showed yourself with Before the Storm to do that, have freedom, go up there, and then also like we talked about, want to go on the market, but they sold it as a next gen.
Yeah,
The strange game. It is next gen performance director. Webb is now performance director from Before the Storm on True Colors, and he's gone into that role because it's so important because they're putting the emphasis on full body motion capture, kind of like capturing people's faces. They're kind of going in the direction where Quantic Dream went years and years ago with Heavy Rain. Like you are playing an interactive drama, yet you have all this kind of realism with the characters. And realism, I'll say that because I know how people feel about David Cage, but I love David Cage.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about like the accusations behind David Cage, or just like the games that he makes?
No, about the games he makes actually, because it's like people always rip on Heavy Rain because it's like, you can kiss, you have like interactive kiss scenes and the kind of like cheesy dialogue and that. I think like David Cage doesn't get a bad rep because like Detroit Become Human is a fantastic game. Heavy Rain's a fantastic game. Beyond's a bit underrated for me as well. So I feel like what I've played in the new wave of Quantic Dream games I really like. So I feel like people give them a bit of a bad rep.
They really do. I mean, you loved.
I love them.
Yeah, you love every single David Cage game. I don't like the accusations. I don't know if the accusations came true yet, so that's why I'm saying accusations.
Not came true, proven.
Came true. It's not like a wish upon a star. It's just awful. David Cage allegedly is a horrible person.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's why Adnan isn't tired. But Liz, why aren't you tired of the Life is Strange series?
I definitely want to go off what Adnan said, where it's like it's a different story every time. So I think that's part of why we're not tired of it yet, because outside of Before the Storm, it's a different story in every one. So it's like it's not like we're playing the same game with the same character in the same town.
Yes,
it's the same world. But they don't interact too much, and even when they do, it's like more of like, oh hey, I know that person.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, let's dive deep into the story with that person. It's like, oh, I recognize them. That's fun. But other than that, it's like, oh, we all like, it's just a different story with a like, it's like different. It's almost like playing a different game, but you know how to play it already.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. And personally, for me, we're technically only on the third one. Yeah. So it's not quite where it's like,
fourth one, Before the Storm.
Okay, Before the Storm is not technically.
No. Well, technically, True Colors.
It's not part of the story.
Technically, True Colors isn't either.
What?
It's not technically Life is Strange 3 because it's like we discussed it. Because you didn't listen to Strange Cast, you can watch it over. Oh, I already linked it. Because it's technically sort of still a spin-off, sort of, kind of, but it's not technically Life is Strange 3. Because it's
but that's what they were calling it.
Yeah.
Can I interject here? This is what I don't like about the series. It's like be upfront with it. Is it Life is Strange 3? Is it not Life is Strange? It's like it kind of puts it in a weird place. Like
it's kind of like a no comment at this point.
Because I've used this example before. You have The Walking Dead season 1, season 2, A New Frontier, and then the final season. You have Michonne in there as well, so you have a spin-off, so you kind of have a bit more direction with it. And the way that this is kind of going with obviously Deck 9 seems to take more of the helm on it. I wish they would have just called it Life is Strange 3.
Yeah.
Or if they're going off this, or if they're going for this in the future, I hope they just drop the numbers, because I think the numbers become a bit too much. I think you can only get away with it unless it's Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy is an established, celebrated, well-revered kind of franchise. So only some games really get away with it. You see it in other mediums, they kind of drop things like eventually, if you go and like try and find out which Friday the 13th films in order, like trying to know which one, how they go, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like you're helpful with numbers on that place. But like with this, I'm kind of like hoping that once we have True Colors comes out, it's all done, and then they announce next Life is Strange. I hope they kind of give it a clear direction of, are we going numbers? Are we not going numbers? Are we going with subtitles? Are we not going with subtitles?
I would prefer subtitles,
Yeah. So I can understand why Liz is why you both are a bit like, is it Life is Strange 3? Is it not?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was Life is Strange 3.
Everybody does, but
so it's like
kind of like
maybe. I want some direction on that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's just we haven't had a ton of like full episodic content. Like I know Before Storm was some, but that was still part of the first story.
Right.
You know, it built off of what they had already established in that one. It was basically to get us through to the next one.
Pretty much, yeah.
Whereas this new one is a whole new story, a whole new person, a whole new power. So that's why I'm considering it the third one.
Okay. Fair.
For now, until they correct me.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so I just think that's why, because it's still newer. Like, yeah, it takes a while to get one out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. It takes so long that it's like still like, oh, I'm excited because I haven't heard from them in so long, and now I'm happy we have one again.
Yes.
But I do think at one point we're going to be like, all right, are we ever going to find out how they got these powers? Like, where is this story going? Are we just going to keep adding powers?
Yeah.
Like,
instead of kind of like speculation, it's more explanation than speculation.
Like, I think that would be cool if they turned it in at one point and we figured it out. Or
Yeah.
one game where you're like, they all meet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious of if there's a plan of where they're going with this.
Yeah.
You know, because kind of going back to the first question, because I didn't get to like do a second thought.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think kind of what you guys were explaining was like almost a series being tired.
Yes.
Whereas I think I was doing like us being tired with a series.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of like, and those can be two different things. When a
Right.
series is tired, it's like you guys are copying and pasting the same thing every time. When it's like the players are tired, it's like, I'm done being excited for this game. Even though it's new, it's like, I'm done. Like I need to work on something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost like, so I think that's why I'm not tired yet, because I just, it's just still new almost.
Yeah.
It's also like the only game I play. So.
Fair. Yeah, and the reason why I'm personally not tired of the Life is Strange series, it's really because of a new perspective every single time, and I'm excited to have that. And it's real life perspectives, like the first Life is Strange game, you get just a teenage girl's perspective on life and Kate's perspective on life. You get Warren's perspective and Nate's perspective. You get these different kind of perspectives. Going into Life is Strange 2, you get the perspective of a Mexican American boy, who is American, but people don't treat him like that. And you get really involved in that story, and you get to see it partially firsthand of what it's like living, as, a Mexican American. This is your country, but people don't treat it like that. And I'm excited for True Colors, playing as an Asian American female, just to get that perspective as well.
Yeah.
These are real life situations that happen in our own world, rather than, Final Fantasy. That's it can be relatable, but it's not, it's not that relatable. But Life is Strange brings that perspective in that I can learn from it.
Yeah.
I learned from Tell Me Why, even, which is another Don't Not series. So I'm excited for the perspectives of it all. So before we go into social media answers, Liz is going to change the camera, but I was going to say, like, do we have any other thoughts before we go forward into social media answers?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah, I think like what you said with the characters and the universe, like each place is in its own area in terms of, is Haven in Colorado?
Yeah, Haven's in Colorado.
The new game. Yeah, so you have Haven in Colorado, you have the boys in Life is Strange 2 going across just America in general, like Seattle all the way down to Porto Lobos. Then you have Arcadia Bay, which is in Oregon, kind of like they set, they establish their own kind of like world inside the world that we actually live in now. So that's where you relate to people. It's like the conversation we had from the beginning. Each character is so relatable. They have kind of like a personal touch. You think that Nathan Prescott is the biggest douche on the planet, but then you kind of sympathize with him a little bit because he's being manipulated. His dad's giving him so much pressure. He's not just a silver spoon kid that you thought. Even with Victoria chasing, when you like knock that paint onto her, it's like then you feel a bit bad. It puts empathy. It puts feeling in choices. And then this is hard with a game which is illusion of choice pretty much throughout most of it as well, until like almost towards the end of the game, like the first one. Like a lot of it will take you in one direction. That's how episodic gaming has to work, because there's a choice and consequence, like actions, unless you want to kill a planet, sorry, they do in the first game. I did that in my first playthrough where I killed my planet. I was so upset. But I feel like they basically just give you really good kind of like perspective of like, here's this character, here's this character, here's this character. You can relate to them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why we're not, still yet, tired of Life is Strange.
Yeah.
But, the question comes up, are we getting tired of it? Is the public, because, me and Adnan we're doing a Life is Strange podcast. So of course we're not tired of it. Liz, it's the one game that you play. So of course you're not tired of it. I'm pretty sure Adnan is frozen. That's unfortunate. I hopefully he'll come back. But as we're waiting for Adnan to come back, hold on. Let's just see what we can do here. Let's just give him another little call. But yeah, so why don't you read the first social media answer?
So the first social media answer comes from My Ketty, and this is from the question. Never mind, I can't see the question, and I don't know how to work this. So I'm just going to say her answer. So My Ketty says, nah, Life is Strange is an entire universe. You can have many stories going on simultaneously if they are well made and told. The problem is, if these stories are overused, see Before the Storm and the inconsistencies with the first game, I agree with that one.
Yeah.
If each game is a separate story with cameos and callbacks to other installments of the series, it could work totally fine for a long time, which is basically what I just said.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because they're so different, they just have little callbacks. It's perfect.
Yeah. I think we're going to take a short break here while we get Adnan back. So, Liz in editing, stay tuned. All right, we're back with Adnan. We're having technological issues, but you know, it is what it is. You know, when you have internet connections that are going underwater across a pond, you know, it tends to, the mudder's
a pond.
Yeah, just a pond. So yeah, we read My Ketty's answer, and you know, like she said, is that as long as it's callbacks and as long as it's different stories and it's not overused, you know, that's the perspective that we have. You know, that's it can work for a very long time. So, Liz, what are your thoughts on this?
Like I said, it's very similar to what I just said for my reason. Because it's different stories every time with little callbacks. So it's like to remind you, like, we're in a series and look, there's that person that we already know.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a different story every time. So I think that's why it's easier to not get tired of the series.
Yeah, I agree. Adnan, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've handled it better in that sense because, like, Before the Storm just felt strange. It felt out of place because it wasn't not establishing it. They went in a completely different direction. Then you start seeing inconsistencies with like Rachel and Chloe's relationship in terms of the grander picture of how the first Life is Strange starts playing out, and other little inconsistencies. And what I liked with Life is Strange 2 when they took that kind of like leap and it was like, let's go with the Diaz brothers. And then I think you see, is it Arcade Bay's destruction in the first episode you see in Life is Strange 2?
Yes, it's the first episode.
You with Brody. Yeah, and you can kind of see it, and it's like that's the great nod where it's like, oh yeah, that's perfect. I like that kind of like we're still retaining that kind of like, you know, this is the same universe, characters can overlap, settings can overlap. And you see that as well with Dave Madsen coming in. They give him probably the best story arc in the entire series so far because like he has the story from prequel to main game to redemption story in the actual sequel. So I love that they established that. And then even if you want to go beyond that as well, even the comic series, Emma Vicelli's doing that as well. Like you see where they're up to in the series arc. They kind of like had Brody appear in that series, and you know, this is Max and Chloe and Rachel in that story, but you have Brody appear, you had Victoria Chase appear. I haven't read all of them yet. I need to catch up with it, but like I saw those kind of like little nods she was doing where she was like bringing in other characters. It's like, oh yeah, here we go. We can be a bit more excitement. And that's what I want to see with Life is Strange because we've seen, you know, Steph come back from this one, Katie Bence. Still hurts, man. Still hurts. But like, you know, you had Steph come back, so I'm kind of expecting that with True Colors. I'm expecting some of those other characters to come back. I'd like to see like Brody come into the fold at some point, like even if he's wandering through the town of Haven Springs. He seems to be that character where he's a traveler. And same with like even if you bring in those other characters, I feel like that's what they're doing right now. They need to kind of keep down that line.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. I hope there's just tiny little callbacks just to you know, get our like foot in that this is the same universe. But if it's the same characters every single time, if it's overused kind of cameos, it can get a little bit tiresome is what we're trying to say. We also have an answer on Discord from @Commander Nikki. Wow, Commander Nikki, who has to say, she says, too much Life is Strange? I didn't know that was possible. Like, if you ask me, it can get as many installments as Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, Pokemon, you name it. Sure, I'm a big advocate of ending good shows and game series earlier than later and having it turn bad or different from the original. Someday, I'll probably say, okay, I've had enough Life is Strange for me, but I haven't gotten enough of that. as well as the other three examples: Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. She hasn't got enough of that, or Pokemon. So who knows when I'll say enough of Life is Strange. For now, it's never too much. She also says, I don't read the comic because I have my thoughts on that topic. If people enjoy it, good for them, but I really don't care about the comic, even if it is canon, she says. So, and that's the thing about with the comic series is that, it's there for you if you want it. It's not forced upon you.
Yeah, you don't have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, and it's just there for your enjoyment or not enjoyment. And I think she's right that, like, also with getting too tired of it,
yeah,
it really comes down to perspectives.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tired of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
She's nuts.
Yeah.
We're not tired of Life is Strange, but someone else might be, And I think it all has to do with perspective rather than the objective answer. Adnan, what do you think about this?
Right, so with the comic series, just to quickly established, they do emphasize that it's just one possible outcome. So it's not canon in the official sense, where it's like, it's the definitive answer. They specifically say this as well, because it's like, it's not canon. It is a canon story, but in one hypothetical sense. So they're kind of like keeping it loose in that sense. Because I don't think they wanted to go down that road where it's like, this is the definitive story of how Max and Chloe's story continues to unfold. So that's that out of the way. It's hard because, like, I think when we simplified series fatigue earlier on, and when you talk about what people want and what they don't want, it's so hard when you look at how many game franchises out there. I told you, like, I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, Adam, and like, Kojima released the first game in '87 with Metal Gear, and then it ended in 2015 with MGS5, and they were all 10 out of 10s through the main entry games like MGS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were all 10 out of 10s for me. They were well built. They kept changing the formula. I didn't ever feel fatigued with the series. It was fantastic the way it was told. So, like, it's hard to say, like, oh yeah, it's too many years coming out, it's too many of this, too many of that. And I think it's just dependent on once you've established your franchise, and like Life is Strange is now a franchise because there's so many entries in it, you kind of need to sit back for a minute and be like, what works, what doesn't work, what appeals to people, what doesn't appeal to people, can we evolve it? If they'd literally revealed True Colors and it was the exact same as Life is Strange 2, 5 episodes separated across months and months, and it had like been outdated, like, and in the Telltale style, it would have been like, hang on a minute, you've not actually done anything here. It's like, what are we going to do here? But instead, it's like, we got a DLC announcement. It's like, here's a Steph episode, but we also have 5 chapters in a game. We're keeping the episodic format exoskeleton, but we're going to, kind of like modernize it. Yeah. Add a bit of flavor to it, add a lick of paint. That's what, as I said to you, like, I wasn't even like sold on just like I love the characters, I love the setting, the music. It was the kind of idea that they basically refreshed the entire series. It's like, we're coming to current gen, well, and last gen as well, but we're coming to new gen with a new Life is Strange game. It's been a couple of years since you've seen the last one. We've improved everything, and we kind of want you to be excited for it. And that's what the kind of vibe I got with it. So I hope that answers that question.
No, yeah, it definitely does. And like you said, it's more just experimental. They're actually trying to change its format a little bit. They're, instead of saying, episodes within months and months, it's all compacted all into one.
Which I'm so happy about.
Yeah, some people are, some people aren't, but at the same time, they're doing something different every single time, which is why we're not tired of it yet.
Yeah.
Much like Assassin's Creed, even they went to RPG realms, and it did something different. Pokemon, of course, something different. They have a whole new set of Pokemon every single time, so it's not the same Pokemon that we got in the '90s. It's all different sets every single generation. So that's great for, keeping fresh with the series. Liz, do you have any other thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I think both of you as well as Nikki kind of covered everything.
Yeah.
On that area where it's like, it all depends on who you are, and each person is different where in when they'll get tired of something.
Yeah.
Someone who, I don't want to say doesn't have like much emotional range, I guess, probably wouldn't connect with this game for that long. Like they might be interested in the story, but they might just be like, nah. Or someone who like doesn't really care for the sci-fi element, they could be like, meh, even though like that's most video games. So I don't know why you're playing video games.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But anyway, it's like, there might be just someone who's like only so-so with Life is Strange, and they're not as excited to continue playing it forever and ever. Whereas us, we're like number one every time it comes out. It's like, of course we're not tired of it yet. So,
and we have one final answer It's from Twofer on Discord. Twofer has to say, well, it's not even on Switch yet, so probably not enough. So
Yeah.
he's not ready to give up because he doesn't even have Life is Strange on the Switch. So
oh my gosh, I would not stop playing if it was on Switch.
I know what we're talking about. Are we getting too much Life is Strange? Well, I mean, we haven't even gotten it on Switch, so how could we say too much? Maybe just a little bit more, and just kind of bleeds into the Switch.
Yeah.
Adnan, me and you kind of not debated, but we kind of said our piece on Strangecast of why it's not on the Switch. It just needs to be there.
Yeah.
And
baffling.
Yeah, it's just a whole new audience that can experience this game, and yet it's not there. So, Adnan, what do you think about this? I know you got a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, so like this is the thing with it. Like obviously with Strangecast, people pointed out with like where we were standing on the remastered edition. When I said that it wasn't coming to current gen, I think people kind of misconstrued what I said because like you can still play Life is Strange remastered on current gen.
Right.
I'll probably preface this in our Strangecast episode anyway, but like you can play it on current gen, but it wasn't like they didn't announce it specifically for PlayStation 5 with the enhancements, a bit more of a visual enhancement of what the console can do. So that's my issue with it. And it's the same with True Colors when you like see it. And it's like, oh, it's coming to PS5, Xbox, Series X, but then it's like it's on last gen as well, which is kind of annoying because then you're not fully fledging a full-fledged Life is Strange game on the current gen consoles. And I know I've kind of like broken into this. It's not selfish about saying you want it on a certain console and or people don't own that console. It's about that's what happened with generation consoles. They didn't do this with PS4, PS3, PS3's life cycle after that kind of like really disappeared into the background because developers started making games for the new consoles. But with like that, you kind of put it out, right, cool. And then it's like, it's not on Switch. And then the remaster collection is not on Switch. And it's like, what? It's like, how? Like, that's my problem with it. I was like, that was the biggest, when I watched it, I was like, oh, cool. Like, Stadia, Xbox, PlayStation, no Switch. Where's Switch? Like, this game is built for Switch. It's handheld, like portable to take it around. I played iOS versions of this game, like of the first Life is Strange. It's built for handheld, like to kind of take around with you. So yeah, you're not even touching an entire Nintendo audience. And Nintendo is so first party driven, and it's worked so well for them, and they deserve all the success that they get with the games because it's unbelievable. But yeah, like they kind of need to look down those roads of like giving it to a new audience, getting out to more platforms. Square Enix is a third party publisher anyway. They're going to get the games on every console they can possibly can. So it's like, why is this game not coming out on Switch? It's like, get out on there. It seems more realistic to kind of like get it out onto Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, even some Final Fantasy games are on Switch.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. Octopath Traveler was a Switch exclusive for a while. It's just so odd that this game series in particular is not on Switch yet. It's just so baffling to me. I don't know. It's just so weird.
There must be like some game development issues or something to work with like Switch. Because I was having a conversation with my friend about like Metal Gear Solid 4 recently, and obviously that's only on the PS3 console. Like it's never been released on any other console. And like there's like issues about I think like porting it onto like a new console because it was so specifically built for PS3, and PS3 was like had a really trouble issues with like people developing games for it. Like it's stuck on that console now.
Yeah.
And I feel like with like a lot of the other news that's been happening recently, I don't know if you follow the PlayStation Store news as well, like they're closing those down apparently on PS3 and PS Vita and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, these games are made digital as well. Like I feel like you should get it on Switch, get it out on as many consoles as you can, get people experiencing it. Life is Strange is one of the games that as soon as you sell it to someone, it's as you said, different stories, different characters. You can pick up the series at any point and play it. Even if like you don't get the reference of like, a certain character coming back, you'll kind of want to play that. Then go back and play the other games. You're like, hang on a minute, my interest is kind of like, being peaked at this point. Let's go back and see what happens to the other games. So yeah, I have a lot of issues with this, and we had like a 40-minute conversation at least on Strangecast about how much I dislike the fact that it's not on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just baffling to me, but
especially since they've remastered it, and it's like you remastered it and everything, and you still won't put it on Switch. It's like this was your perfect opportunity to at least get the first one on the Switch.
Yeah, totally.
So stupid.
It is too. But I think this is a perfect time to just jump into closing thoughts here. So we talked a lot about the anthology helping it out, and the fan base coming together, and really that we're not getting too much Life is Strange because it's different enough, right? That we can play it at any point, and it feels like a whole new game. So Liz and I will share our closing thoughts, and we'll have the final closing thoughts here. But the way I think about it with my closing thoughts is that Life is Strange is reliance on being relatable and current with the times it's in. It's current with the times it's in with the way people think, especially with 2018. When Life is Strange 2 came out, that was a lot about police brutality. We got that from 2016 into 2017 into 2018. Police brutality and racism was on the rise. And that's where the 2018 Life is Strange 2 really kicked into gear. Same thing with Life is Strange True Colors. We're having a lack of empathy here. We're having a lack of empathy for other people. And the situation with the coronavirus, so we're lacking empathy. And of course, True Colors was made before the pandemic, but it still relates. In 2017, we're lacking empathy, and that's the power that we're going in. It's reliant on being reliable and relatable to the times that we're in. Yeah, and that's why we're not tired of it. Yeah. Liz, what are your closing thoughts on this?
I definitely agree with you where the relatability for each year it comes out is like so major because it kind of helps you like open your eyes to like what's going on around you and helps kind of shift your perspective in like a good direction. Yeah. So I definitely agree with that. And again, I mean, it's Life is Strange. It's a different, and again, it's a different story every time. And I really do think that's what helps it not get old and tired. But yeah, I mean, it's Life is Strange. I can't get tired of it. Like I'm like Nikki, where it's like, as of right now, I don't see me getting tired of it, and I could keep going forever.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
Amen.
Can't stop, won't stop. Life is Strange forever.
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 Adnan, what are your closing thoughts?
I agree with you both, and I think like for me, when True Colors comes out, I can kind of like take a moment to look back at the series and where it's at, and that's kind of like because there'll be that many entries in the series, you can kind of see where it's going forward. And I think like with art, I kind of want to see a bit more of a roadmap from like Square Enix, where it's like, is it just Deck 9 developing games? Or are you going to rotate it like with Activision did with Call of Duty, where it was Sledgehammer Games and Treyarch making it, or like, you know, Activision kind of have like a bit more of a structure in place and then have a release. Because we talked about like, we don't know if Don't is involved with this. We don't know if Don't is ever going to get involved with this again. Not that they've completely parted ways. It's just the publisher-developer dynamic that they have with it. But I kind of want to see where the structure is. You know, who's going to kind of helm the series? Is it going to be one studio? Is it two studios? And it'll just put more perspective on the series. So like I said, it's still young because it's like 6 years it's been, and even then as well, 6 years we've had a remaster of the first game, and most of the time you think, hang on a minute, like that the game 6 years ago should get remastered that easily. And well, to be honest, most games are getting remastered anyway, like after 2 years now. But it's like it puts you into a bit more perspective. It's like, right, we kind of have a bit more of a direction in the story, because that's what I felt with when Life is Strange 2 came out, because it's like, who's going next? Is it Deck 9? Is it going to be Donut again? Who's going to helm the series? What direction are we going to take? And as you said as well, like it's going to be very relatable. Like, you know, certain themes always hit home. Like the second one was really hard hitting because of like where it was placed. It was in the Trump era. It was just like they didn't shy away from what they were talking about. They were very politically spoken with the entire story dynamic. And if you're kind of going to go down that road, you have to fully commit with it. There's no point in like, you know, dilly-dallying around like, oh yeah, here's a wall. We're not trying to like talk about Trump, but you know, there is a wall in this game. It's like, we're going to be like, there's a wall here. It's a representation of all the problems that are happening in the game, in the world. People can relate to it. And that's what I kind of want to see with this game as well, True Colors. I want it to touch on something that hits home, whether it's mental health, whether it's about, you know, loss, or like, you know, as you said, empathy, the power that's empathy as well. It kind of like draw something that makes it, that puts it in the Life is Strange series and kind of feels at home with the other ones. Because like, as you said, like the first game touches on this one, the second one touches on this one, and then the third one touches on it. It gives you a direction of like, each game will focus on a certain theme, and it'll give the series kind of like a nice roadmap going forward.
Yeah, I definitely agree, you know. And I think we can end the episode here. I think asking the question, are we getting too much Life is Strange? I think the answer is not yet.
Yeah. If you're a fan, then not yet.
Not yet. Maybe someday, but as of currently speaking, not anytime soon. Yeah. But as long as they're on the same roadmap here, as long as they're giving different anthology stories, not yet. Yeah. So before we end the show, we're gonna give one last little thing for Adnan. It's the red carpet. Wow. Adnan, where can we find you? What's your YouTube channel called? What's your social security number? You don't have social security because you're in the UK. Where can we find you? Go.
You can find me at Player One versus the World, and it's basically a lot of Life is Strange videos. There's a Life After Strange series, which I've talked about on here. There's also Strangecast, which is a new podcast I co-host with Adam. It's very exciting. It's going to be cool and all the other stuff. And yeah, you can find me on Player One versus the World. That's where most of my video content will be, other thoughts on this series, everything else. So yeah, please do check it out. Thank you for the plug.
And I will be linking all of the shows. I will be linking his YouTube channel, his Twitter account, so you can go follow him there in the description down below. Adnan, thanks again. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. It's so great that internet exists. We're in 2021, and internet has not fixed itself. Thanks, whoever's controlling internet, Bill Gates. Adnan, thanks again for coming on the show. Been a pleasure having you, man. And
thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here again.
And we'll be recording the second episode of Strangecast very soon, so be on the lookout for that one. And until next time, you can always find us on the social media pages, on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or on Instagram, Games Groceries, all one word. Check us out over there. Join the Discord. The Discord link is in the description down below. Chat with us over there. And with all that said and done, thanks for tuning in. We hope to find you in the next one. Stay gaming, stay striving, stay driven. Have a good one.
Bye.